Hello, everybody, and welcome to Syntext Live. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you are doing very well because tonight I got most of a page of notes to go over, different topics I want to cover, and most of which are going to be on everybody's comments that they put in on the videos for the past week. So hopefully I can address some of your concerns. So sit back, have a drink. If I can do this without spilling it. And let's get started. Don't worry. Again, it's soda. The only time I actually drink soda is when I'm talking to everybody here. So let's get down to it. First things first, everybody. It has been a really good week here on Syntext, and I do have to thank you all for everything you've done, sharing, and everything like that. So, hey, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I appreciate it. All right, next thing on the list is for the series. If we had known, there is, yes, I've been sending this to everybody. There is going to be a part 4 and most likely beyond. Again, that story took a life of its own and it is now expanding. So if you're looking forward to that, yes, it is going to happen. If you have any other series that you want expanded on, let me know. Right now, I'm still working on what I promised last week, which is single one-off stories. I tried to do that, and then if we had known, it just actually took off, like I said, and I actually had to quit because I'm like, this isn't what I promised you guys. Oh, shit. So I had to do what I had to do. So, all right, the next thing is I wanted you guys' opinion. By all means, put it either in the comments or in the, I should say comments down below, down there in the area, or put in the comments, whichever side you guys can see that on, and I will definitely get to it. I got my pen already ready to rock and roll, which I just blew through like 3 of these freaking things in a week, and my hand is killing me because of all the scripting I got to do. Regardless, if you have any suggestions on thumbnails, all right, because it is the advertisement for the channel, I want to get you guys' opinion. Now, I have noticed that the more action I throw on there, the better it is. But I want you guys' opinion. If you have anything to go in there, by all means, send it. All right. The next one I want to cover is, do the jokes hit? I just wanted to know that. Do the jokes actually hit? This is more of a Q&A in this section. I want to know if you guys enjoy the little bits of humor I threw in there. And, I'm sure a few people are kind of wondering why I did the whole thing about the guy, the alien on if humans are hangry, you wouldn't like them when they're hangry, how they grab the Xeno by what would be his reproductive parts and swing it. Well, I didn't want to say it outright because you're smacking a reptile from wall to wall and his shell is cracking. Well, what animal on this planet has a shell and breathes through its tail? I'm going to let you guys put that in the comments. I'm not actually going to answer that question. So you know what type of Xeno it is by that. I'd rather be descriptive and let you guys mind actually fill in the gaps. Now, if that's something you want me to continue, let me know. If you want me to just straight out explain exactly what they all look like, by all means, put it in there. Okay, just let me know what works better for you guys listening, because I want to make a better product. So let's see, you got that down, got the thumbnails. If the jokes didn't fly away, see. All right, I want to get into the actual, the humans have a new toy. Okay, I tried to actually go over what an actual energy weapon does, a directed energy weapon, and apparently they've been testing them here. It's all conspiracy theory and all that other fun jazz. That being said, if you follow all the little bits of paper trail that come out, you'd be surprised what you find. And yes, that is exactly what an energy weapon, a directed energy weapon, would do. It would totally just play all sorts of funness with the actual tectonic plates. And if you're wondering why there'd be a massive tsunami, it's not because of underground earthquake, although that would cause it, but underground volcanoes. Remember, compared to when you're working in space where the ether is so thin, it might as well not even be there. water is really thick. So if you get something like a super volcano exploding underneath the water, you're going to have a huge burst. It's going to push all the water out. And then the heat's going to basically vaporize in there, pushing everything harder. But then you got the void. So it's going to suck back in. Well, anybody who's actually thrown a rock in the water, what happens? It goes out and then it comes in, spurts up, and then splashes out again. Same thing is going to happen, but on a planetary scale. Wrap that one around your head, people. That's horrifying. It would put a lot of the volcanic magma, cool it off real quick, but the damage is still going to be done. Okay, so if let's see, where was I here? Yeah, directed energy. There it is. Now, if you guys have any questions on that one, by all means, put them in, and I will get to the chat box here in a few minutes, unless I see a super chat come in and then everything stops because super chats take priority. By the way, let me know if that doesn't work because I reset the settings twice to make sure everything was right, and I think it's right. So we'll see. All right, on the next one. For those of you, and I know a few of you are actually writing your own story, I want you to remember that compartmentalization in space and compartmentalization underwater do not work the same way. Reason being is the same way I talked about before. You got to be very careful about this because rapid depressurization in a submarine, you blow a hole in it, what happens? Yeah, something blows out, then instantly everything flows in. Well, it doesn't work in space. You blow the hole, everything is just being sucked out. But the kicker is it doesn't suck out very fast. It's about, last I read was 14 miles an hour. That's how fast the air is going to move out of that area. It's not going to be like you see on Clone Wars and stuff like that, where everybody's sucked down the hallway screaming, ah! Thud, 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 knocking against it. No, you got time. Not a lot of time, but you got enough time to get on the other side of the bulkhead and hit the button to close it. So keep that in mind when you guys are writing your own stuff, because there's a lot of variables and a lot of things people put in science fiction that are 100% wrong or 90% wrong, and they just jazz them up for effect. I try not to do that, but let's face it, still sci-fi, mostly sci-fi channel here. So I do have a little bit of liberties. But you got to remember Newton's law on that. Every action has an opposite reaction, especially when you're working with different compartments blowing up one after another. There has to be some sort of ignition that works, that sends that explosion down. You can't just, like they saw in the Halo cutscene, where one laser just grazes a ship and then boom, 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 it goes all the way down. If you don't know which one, that's where Master Chief is giving the Covenant back their bomb. Yeah. So keep that in mind when you guys are actually making your stuff, because I will give you the best example of it. When the planes actually had rapid depressurization, if you actually blew a hole in a plane, does the plane immediately fall apart? Absolutely not. You would be astounded how much it takes to actually bring a plane down, especially those big commercial jets. They're made very well, unless they're made in China, but that's a whole nother thing. But the same thing is going to be with the spacecraft. This is going to be made extremely well, just like we went over last week when one of our viewers brought up the fact that you could have water tanks in between your inner and outer hull to absorb a lot of it all plays in, folks. It all plays in. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on that one. Okay, kind of got to go back to the jokes a little. Now, I do want to know if you guys got a kick out of this on now, spoiler alert for those who have not seen or listened to If We Had Known, especially part 3. Did you enjoy the using the hub as a weapon, and every time the Xenos turned on their screen, all they saw was not only a bunch of pop-ups that those of us who were around when dial-up was a thing, the pop-ups would drive you absolutely crazy as pop-up blockers became. Now, once they got through that, all they saw was human mating rituals that would constantly come up. Like you close one and another one would pop up and instantly play. Yeah, they're using the hub as a weapon. But you got to remember, on top of that, what is usually attached to a lot of those files? A lot of viruses you don't see. Considering the content, that's almost poetic justice right there. Just viruses everywhere. So, yeah, I thought it was funny. That honestly became just kind of a joke. It kind of just jumped into my thinking me and danced a jig in there. And I was like, okay, this is going to be extremely funny or this is going to suck. So you got to let me know if it worked or not. And just FYI, if you don't think that would work, ask anybody who was around when Live Leak was a thing. Yeah, Live Leak was the fastest way to give your computer cancer. It was insane how riddled with God knows what type of programs they were there. You click on one thing, you watch a cat dance. Next thing you know, your whole laptop catches on fire. It's crazy. All right. Somebody brought this up in the comment section as far as high and low gravity, and they brought up a very interesting point. Is the fact that since we as humans would most likely use ballistic weapons, using different high and low gravity is going to affect them a lot. Okay, and that's a big deal. Okay, that's a very, very big deal. I will admit I screwed that up. When I was talking about high gravity worlds, I didn't touch on as much as I should, and I do appreciate you guys when you send in comments and critiques like that, because it makes my stuff better, and then you guys can enjoy it more. So I very much appreciate that. Now you got to remember that a higher gravitational field is also going to play hell with your comms, because high gravimetrics means more high radiation, and there's a whole plethora of stuff that goes along with that. So again, if you're actually writing, keep that in mind. That again, I kind of smacked myself for not realizing that sooner. Especially since, we like to use the good stuff, the big guns, the reach out and touch someone, hint, hint, type of weapons. So let's see. Okay. Oh, I also wanted to thank the folks who were bringing in the comments saying that certain the one-off should be templates for a series, or like you guys said it a lot, ambush predators. You'd love to see it as an anime or a manga or something like that. And all I can say is call Hollywood. I guarantee they can get my email real easy. So that was that's the look. Hold on, I'm stepping on my tongue. Give me a sec. If I did get a call for that, and I cut a deal to actually make one of my stories into an actual other media besides here, I would let you guys know. I would actually make sure it's in the contract that I could actually do a live stream and let you guys know straight up, hey, this one's going to be made. It's going to take roughly this long to do. It's going to come out approximately this time. I'm not going to putz with you guys, because this is not easy working for yourself. And I'm not going to piss off my fans, my associates, my subscribers, whatever word you guys want to call yourselves, because I appreciate everything you do for me. I really, really do. And don't get me wrong, I'd work for peanuts compared to what those other guys do. And I hope that I would make a better product than the piles of dog shit that are coming out of Hollywood right now, because it is bad. There's only one other movie I want to see this year. I want to see with my nephew, and that was Oppenheimer. And unfortunately, since he works with the volunteer firemen, he got a phone call, and there went that. There went our last chance to see it. So I'm probably going to rent it just to watch it. 3 hours long, though. Whew, don't buy a soda before that one. All right, let's see. A couple more here. Let's see. Tactics in space. Okay. If you want your best way to learn tactics in space, listen to the way submariners talk. Now, is it going to be the same? Absolutely not. Is it going to be close? Yes. Reason being is they're used to being in a metal shell with everything around that metal shell trying to kill them. And then they're going to be firing from God knows where. Half the time they're not even going to know until, fish in the water, and they're, screaming out, and everyone starts sending emergency signals, trying to shoot decoys and all this other fun stuff. These guys know what they're talking about in this situation. So if you hear them talk, if you actually sit down and listen to the submariners explain some of the stuff they do, now they don't talk about it much because it is called the silent service. But the older guys, like the World War II vets, unfortunately, there's not that many. Some of the more Korean vet times, you might get some folks who were in when they were, like Desert Storm / Desert Shield / Desert. I got sand in my ass crack. Look, I went to Iraq too, so fuck it. Anyways, some of those guys, it's amazing. And I'll tell you what, you guys liked the new crewmate with the weird shit that happened there. Guess what? I've listened to submariners, and some of the shit they tell me is just, what the? You got to be kidding. Please tell me you're joking. You got to be joking, right? And yeah, no, they're not joking. It's weird. Now, the one major difference, if you are making your own sci-fi story in particular, there are actually two types of battles that go in that area. It's no kidding. It's actually three, but two of them can be pretty much mushed together. And one is the game of cat and mouse, which you're trying to find them before they find you, but that would be under the assumption that you know each other's in the area. The other one that goes with that is a straight up ambush, but then again, you may or may not know where that is. But playing cat and mouse, somebody's ambushing somebody. That's why they go together. And the other one, since you're working at distances so far away that it sometimes takes minutes before the ordnance actually gets from one side to the other, even if you're using energy weapons, is a good old fashioned slug match. You just got the fleets lined up and they're just trying to fill space with everything. That's when you're dealing with fleets, people. I guarantee you get a whole bunch of subs in the area that want to kill each other. And that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a chaotic freaking mess. Because the one thing those guys are not good at is large scale combat with multiple subs of not only yours, but also theirs in the area. It's something they train for. It's not something they're used to. Once you get into space combat with different species, they will be used to it. And make sure your opponents are changing their tactics for the love of all that is holy. Please do, because never assume the enemy is stupid. We had a phrase in the infantry: you get cocky, you get dead. Okay, and that's why in a couple of the stories, the enemy just kind of changes tactics. You're like, oh shit, we lost? Wait a minute, this is an HFY. How did we lose? It happens. All right. So, okay, I kind of touched on this, but the top 10 videos on the channel, I do appreciate that the oldest ones are getting the most views. However, what I was amazed is that the fuck? Weapons being horrifyingly strange. The whole quack boom grenade that was used. I don't want to use the other way because I don't know if that guy will sue me. Regardless, that's actually getting up the top 10. Whatever you guys did to make that thing popular, I appreciate it, because holy flying monkey nuts, that was crazy. All right. Last thing on my notes here before I go into the chats and go through is just remember, the most dangerous humans are the ones that just want to be left the fuck alone. Now, if they're out there causing trouble, they might deserve what they get. But just like anyone else, just like on this planet, the most dangerous man is the one who just wants to be left alone. Because as soon as you pull him out of his comfort zone, you basically killed who he was. And he's going to be pissed because you killed who he was. And who he is not somebody you want to meet. Because that guy's going to be royally pissed. All right. Which is why you're going to find in a lot of HFYs, it's either small diplomatic groups going out and that's it, or humans just hold their territory because it's so close to what's really happening. Okay, it's the way human psychology actually works. So, that being said, and just like Zathras, it's let me get up here on here, starting from the top. We got a whole bunch of our regular folks in. We got Ava, we got Demon. I saw some sort of crusty sea dog in the chat earlier, so, and we got a couple. Let's see, Sniper's back. Cool. A bunch of high Sniper saying 0-3 here. Holy flying! You're over in Europe, ain't you? Everybody's saying hi. Even we're hoping to get more to join this. Oh well. Yeah. Sorry, I gotta look more into the Discord. Unfortunately, it's been a busy. I barely even got to the gym this week. It's been so busy. So yeah, I'm gonna, in big bold letters, Discord, and on the bottom I'm gonna write to myself, dumbass. Yeah, right there, Discord, you dumbass, for myself, because I totally screwed that up. Let's see. Wish I could stay, but mandatory overtime. Say I have to leave to work in 5 minutes. Well, hey, work is work, Demon. No one's going to give you crap about that. And yes, off you go into the wild blue yonder. Lost again. Son of a bitch. Okay. So high and by, basically. Okay, yep, blah, blah, blah. Yep, and Demon, if you're watching this afterwards, yep, off you go. And you are awesome as well. Let's see. War Sniper, it is quite surprising to me. The one human stories are the good guys, and the other story they blow the head off the aliens. Yeah, you like that one, huh? Just like, what do you want? Shut up. Bang. Yeah. The humans are almost always the good guys because, let's face it, most of it's HFY, so that's really going to be it. Yes, I prefer hard science fiction. Every time I do that, I want to go, Dr. Evil fiction. Yeah, it's really not, because, in all honesty, we haven't seen state of the art since the atomic bomb in 1946. And with everything that happened before, with like the Eldridge and stuff like that, the thing is, back then they didn't have hardened facilities deep underground to do this craziness. So people saw it happen. I mean, come on. People don't realize that the space race was almost essentially just a way to develop nuclear missiles. They were developing the rockets, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, out in public. That's the whole thing. I mean, yeah, were they looking for profit up in space? Sure, but that wasn't the primary reason why they started NASA. It was all military. Yep, Halo 2 cutscene there for Ava. War Sniper. But with the jokes, I don't smile of it. I understand them, but don't get a knockout. Oh, kick out of the battle. I get more kick out. Okay, so you get a kick more out of the fighting. And the thing is, I would put a whole bunch of infantry speak in there. I would love to, but YouTube, oh God, Susan would just ban me and demonetize me like that. By the way, ow! Sorry, I've been scripting a lot lately, and my hand hurts. So yeah, snapping my fingers just hurt like hell. Back to the chats. Motherfucker, it stings. Okay, but I have a lag of emotion, so I'm not really good. Okay, well, as long as you can laugh a little bit, War Sniper, that's the key thing. When you can't laugh anymore, that's trouble. I know a few people who, for years, they wouldn't laugh at anything. They would watch Robin Williams and George Carlin, and they wouldn't even crack a smile. And it was, honestly, we were worried about them. They're okay now, but yeah, it was bad. Let's see. How did I become a sci-fi writer? From Dustin D. Okay, Dustin, how did I become a sci-fi writer? Well, originally I wanted, well, let me break it down as far as I can go. When I first started writing, I was in grade school. Somebody asked me to write something, and I did. And for the first time I got praise on my writing, they didn't just look at me, oh, it's kid stuff, and throw it away. And they're like, oh, you thought about this, you thought about that. Okay. So I realized I had a talent for it. Unfortunately, at the time, writers weren't making a lot. The only thing that was going on right there, the only people who were making money in writing were like sports writers and stuff like that. And I just can't. Uh, so later on, I started making up stories. I have some over on the bookshelf that I actually wrote in high school. I started making a few others. I did get paid to write commissioned work, but every time somebody says they were writing commissioned work, you got to be careful because a lot of that's adult content. And I honestly, that stuff bores the hell out of me. Uh, Anyways, when I finally realized, hey, you know what? They're not going to promote me no matter what I do. I don't have to worry about what I put in any of the content. I started looking into some of what the other folks were doing. And one of the things I came across was the creepy pasta guys, the horror stories. So I gave that a whirl. And while I'm doing that, I have other people read some of my old stuff and made a few folks cry, made a few folks freak out. I made one person actually take my notebook and go and put it in the freezer. I still don't know why the fuck she did that, but she did. And I was like, okay, I had all this content, but I had no place to put it out. I started putting it out on Reddit, and it was doing okay. And by the way, I have no idea my Reddit password anymore. I haven't been on it in a while. I was off that because I kept getting deployed. I kept moving, and it is what it is. If you have a passion for something, for the love of God, don't ever lose it. I moved and I got locked into my job, and I would stop writing for a long time. Eventually, I was looking for a challenge. So that's why I went to the horror stuff, because to me, horror stories are actually very difficult because you have to actually trick the audience into a sense of relaxation. And trying to do jump scares in writing is pretty much impossible. But you have to work on your suspense. You have to try and get that to work more and more and more. By the way, if you're going to go into horror or gore or anything of that fear type area, you need to work on your suspense writing big time. However, when I started my YouTube channel, I made a bunch of those and I came across the HFY stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can definitely do that. That's actually a whole lot easier because sci-fi has usually been my shtick because I'm a huge Battletech nerd. And outside the creepy stuff, I started doing the HFY or any type of science fiction like that. And the science fiction actually got a whole lot more traction than the creepypasta stuff or suspense or horror, whatever you have. And so I kept going on that. And that's really, really what pulled me in tight, because for a long time I was just writing randomly. And if you got random stuff, by all means, you can post on Reddit and stuff like that. As long as you're not getting paid, you can actually use copyrighted material. The kicker is the moment you get paid, which is why I am very hesitant to do the Star Wars stuff, the Transformer stuff, and things like that. It's very, very dangerous to do that because they'll sue you quick. If they think you're making a decent amount of money, they will be up your ass like a proctologist with poor depth perception. I mean, they're wow, and they're going to turn you into a sock puppet real quick. But that's where it came out. And by the way, anybody who, before you ask, yes, I did actually come up with the whole thing for The Mandalorian to actually bring it back and make it better again. When they brought in that actress who did a horrible job as Ahsoka, and they got rid of Muscle Girl, I forget what her name was, then they shot that in the ass. And honestly, Kathleen Kennedy needs to stay the fuck away from that. But can each of these be saved? Yes. Am I good at that? Yes. Am I going to do it? No, because again, I'm not going to get sued. But anyways, now I'm going around in circles here. So anyways, that's how I became a science fiction writer. I do take a break every once in a while to go back to the roots of like suspense and stuff like that. Main reason, you have to let that portion of your brain relax. You will go through burnout. And I just a few weeks ago, I went through burnout real bad, and it is what it is. Okay, let's see. I'm going to keep going down. Master Chef. No, I'm kidding. It's Master Chief. Can you tell me why you're on this shit? Oh, finish this. Okay, so he's quoting Halo. Oh, there's our wonderful Sea Dog here. I can make him actually scared. Vampire, vampire, vampire. Oh, they did that to me on a Navy ship when it's like, yeah, you hear that? That means we're about to be hit with a missile. What do? Stick your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. The Black Hawk guys tried to do something similar, and we're like, dude, we've been on these enough times. You're not scaring anybody. All right, everybody's waving hi. Okay, Dustin D says, would space humans also use lasers and particle and plasma or phaser to alone with torpedoes? Oh, as long as with torpedoes. Yeah, as long as it's practical for what they're using it for, absolutely. You got to remember, each of these weapons are niche weapons. They're for any particular time. Because torpedoes might not work if you're better with space mines. If you're direct fire weapons within a certain range, your rail guns are devastating, absolutely devastating. Particle lasers would cut through the ship's hull quite literally just like they showed in Babylon 5. You just go straight down and it would just cut right through like it wasn't even there. Plasma induced, sure, you could use it. That's actually plasma induced laser is how you get phaser, but there's several different types of phasers around there. So don't kill me in the chat on that one. It's actually something as this way. By all means, put in the something as this way, but there's many different ways of getting an actual phaser to work. But yes, especially on the ships, they would definitely use energy weapons. I would think one of the best point defense weapons would be an energy weapon. Really, it's instant on target, and if you can get the target to heat up fast enough, you can make it inert before it even gets to you. If not, blow it the fuck up. All right, moving on. Finn. Well, love his stories. Just wanted a little live. Just a little bit live? Oh no, you're killing me. Just like I didn't have it written down, but one of the folks says that they put on my stories to help them sleep. I'm like, I'm that boring? I don't know whether to be insulted or say thanks. Well, whatever. Okay. Let's see. Ava says likely kinetic would be humanity's main weapon, as it is accurate, powerful, and has the longest range. What it actually does, yes, because the range is until it gets caught up in any type of gravity well. Just like we were talking about high and low gravity weapons, high and low gravity planets. Low gravity ballistics would be scary accurate. There would be no drop at all. And at least not until you're way out. If you know anything about ballistics, it'd be like the difference between a 22 long and a 22 Hornet. A 22 long will actually arc as it shoots. A 22 Hornet is one of the flattest flying bullets until it gets to about 230, if I remember correctly, meters, and then it just drops. Until then, it's dead nuts accurate. It's crazy. But yes, humanity's main weapon is most likely going to be some sort of ballistic until you get within a certain range. Again, niche, because you can't just keep firing off main gun rounds. You're going to run out. If you only have a half a dozen to 20 of the damn things, you can't be in a large scale battle for very long. You miss 2 or 3 times, suddenly you're like, well, I'm out of ammo. I'm out of here. The issue with energy weapons is they're just so hot. Let's see. There you go, Dustin. Oh yeah. Yes, Jason Patterson. Old school dial-up modem noise as a virus. You know what? I'm gonna write that down. Modem noise is a weapon. Okay. Modem noise weapon. I can just see that being like a dog whistle for someone. All of a sudden, hi, 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 hi. They're all freaking out. Screech boop boop. Okay. Yeah, Hollywood is so screwed up, Robbie. It is. Let's see. War Sniper. Oh, I'm sure you can do a much, much better job than Hollywood. I hope so. And right now, I'll even say it right here and now. I could fix lower decks. I could actually make it good. It's actually not hard. All you gotta do is take the main character who's always getting away with everything and show how much of a villain she actually is. It's actually that easy. It would piss off a lot of the producers. It would truly tick off the voice actors, but I mean, it is what it is. Oh, Lee, you beat me to it. Find a way for old dial-up to sound like aliens, to make aliens surrender. Or would that be against the... No, it's actually not. Psychological weapons are not against the Geneva Convention. They are if you're holding them as prisoners, but not in a firefight. Absolutely not. Whoa, okay, something jumped here. What happened to Star Trekking to new places, new worlds, and into dead idea? Well, politics got into that. That's what happens. When politics slimes its way in there, it's just like any other virus. It'll eventually kill you. I mean, it's just, it was just bad. Don't get me wrong. The visuals are great. There's no actual hard science in there anymore. Everyone used to say, well, there's a lot of hard science in Star Trek because the original Star Trek wasn't designed to be true science fiction. What it was designed to truly be was a way to ease the idea of incoming technology into the consciousness of everyone in the Western world, because you can actually track it. Everything that they were using in Star Trek, from cell phones to CDs to stealth to all this other crap, they already had plans, or they were already using it, and eventually it's going to be known by the public. And they didn't want people to freak out over new tech. And that's what they used it for. That's why it's some of the easiest ways to find the what the new tech is going to be, by looking at some of the series. Now, does that happen with all of them? No, absolutely not. But a good portion of them. Actually, I didn't even say that. Maybe 50%. Let's see. A good example, Ava here. Good example of space tactics. Look to whom whole groups in Eve. I'm guessing Eve Online. That's the most accurate space tactics you'll see, but they don't fight in large groups, but they use submarine tactics. Yeah. The kicker on that is, even in a large group, you got to be careful, because you might be suckered into, what do they call that? Oh yeah, it's a trap. Yeah. That's one of the easiest ways to actually get anybody, is get them into a kill zone. I mean, Patton used that. Rommel used that. Everybody used that. It's a good old-fashioned ambush. And you can actually overwhelm easily a larger force with an ambush. It's just the way it is. Now, in the military, we just call it a kill zone, especially when you're using artillery. And that's the way when I was over in 4th ID. One second. Oh, excuse me. Or no, I wasn't at 4th ID. I was in Colorado. Anyways, I didn't know there was a force on force going on. And my brigade was losing pretty badly. And I'm just doing paperwork. I was a paper pusher at the time. They pushed me up to brigade, and I'm just running schools. And we walk by and hey, what do you think about this? I look over. I'm like, oh, what do we got here? What are our options? And they start going on different tactics. No. What do we have at our disposal? What are our logistics? And come to find out, again, we're the guys out there getting their asses handed to them. So I was like, all you got to do is do this, move these guys here, pull this, do a feint attack and run, and yada, yada, yada. And you'll end up pulling their entire brigade, at least a battalion or two, into this area. You said all your artillery is intact, have them dialed in and just say fire for effect. And he just looked at me like, good, get out of here. And my sergeant major had this big grin, because apparently that's what he'd been telling them for the past hour. And then I told them, and then they used it, and then all of a sudden our guys are kicking ass out there. So again, you can overwhelm somebody with a good old-fashioned ambush. Let's see. Not a whom hole, but a wormhole. Ava, are you on your mobile device? Or is spell check hitting you? Look to wormhole groups and okay. Yeah. Basically, a wormhole in science fiction is a choke point. It's one of the only true choke points. And choke points are, you always want to hold them. Always. Never lose them, because they're almost impossible to get back. Let's see. Wargamer says, never underestimate your enemy, but do always overestimate your. Yes, absolutely. Overestimate what they have and plan accordingly. Because if you do so, you're just going to overwhelm them. Because as we know, hey, come on, we're human. There's no such thing as overkill at all. Let's see. It says, not true snipers, but not wrong. Don't overestimate too much. Yeah, you don't want to pull too many off the line, but now you went from tactical to strategic on that one, Ava. I think Sniper was just talking about individual battles on that one. Let's see. Listen, I always wanted to be left alone, but when they don't, we have a problem. Okay, yeah. It's always good when somebody's not stepping on your dick or his own. You start and just leave them alone. Dustin D, as a certain Ed Amdorian ambassador, you put this in my comment section before in a video, I guarantee. Once said, never push the pink skin to thin ice. Humans cornered to the thin ice will fight for every inch, tooth and nail, to keep their ground, which is absolutely true. Because you don't want to pay for land twice. Patton said that. Don't pay for land twice. Let's see. Ava says, it's all right, Sin. It's just called Chill Place. It's just called a chill place for the community. And you're helping new authors with story ideas and fun. Well, I'm hoping you're having fun. I try to keep some of them light, but I do have to get a little super serious sometime. I'm not going to go Al Gore and say it's super serial. That'd be freaking stupid. Anyways, but yeah, if you have any ideas or something you're not sure if it's going to work, by all means, bounce it off my head. Because if it wasn't for certain people showing me how to get into YouTube, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be making any extra cash or anything like that. So I'm all about helping people out. Also, that's my thing. When I had my other channel, it was all about setting people up for success. Whether or not you take it, that's your own business, but you got to be set up for success. And it's advice I wish I had gotten when I was younger. The problem is it pissed off a lot of people and it threatened this channel here. So anyways, so that's why I stopped doing it. Let's see. Ava, I'll keep it running so you don't need to deal with it personally. I'm guessing you're talking about the Discord on that one. Let's see. Dustin D says, why does Paramount and CBS think that Star Trek needs to be like 2 million or 1 million or 2 million to make a Trek when the Vestar Trek stories happen on tighter budgets? Honestly, I really don't know. Somebody in their accounting department needs to be fired. That's what happened. Because again, the visuals are great. The storyline sucks and the characters are so much worse. There's only like one or two good actors in all of STD, and yes, the abbreviation on that does not go, that one actually hits. Star Trek Discovery, STD, yeah, shocker. And then you got STP, which it can lube up and slide on out of here. Star Trek Picard was terrible. I couldn't even get through one episode. It was just bad. But I don't know why they need so much. In all honesty, all they need is a couple of sets so they can walk around talking in the halls. That was some of the best parts of the 1990s Next Generation shit, is when they were just explaining stuff, trying to figure things out. That was one of the best parts. And it helped people, understand what in the hell was going on, not just throw some techno babble and call it good. Ava says, I am the only battle junkie in chat. Well, I don't like getting in fights, but I'll finish one if I have to. I don't know if that's what you meant, but yeah. It does seem like, Ava, you have a pretty good grasp on everything. It's just you want to reach a little too far sometimes. Just whatever you're doing, just make sure you take a step back, take a breath. Okay, look at it with fresh eyes, and you'll be golden. Because I only bring that up because if I remember correctly, last you had the water cannon or using water pressure to actually fire your weapon system last week. I'm not sure. You can put in if that was you or not. Let's see. War Sniper Gaming says they're hunting yourself to make you smile. Star. Okay. They're hurting. Oh, they're hurting yourself means. Which hurting yourself one? Because I got a few of those. I'm not sure which one. Whoa, crap! This thing jumped. Let's see. Dustin D says, in Star Trek universe, I wonder how much the Borg and the Dominion regretted going to war with Hullen, Federation, Starfleet, Klingons, and the rest of the Alpha Beta and the alphabet, basically. I'm pretty sure the Borg are robots, so I don't think they give a shit. But as far as the Dominion, I saw the end of that series, and they're just glad they're still alive, honestly. After they gave them a nanovirus or whatever it was that was killing them all. And then what's his nuts there turned into a puddle of shit and oozed back in with the rest of them. I really didn't like that. The fact that it's a Babylon 5 ripoff and Babylon 5 was a much better series is enough to really, really get on my nerves. But don't get me wrong. The guy, the actor who had to wear the big ears all the time, the spy, and when those guys, they just took the scene. They're such good actors. It is crazy how good they are. And if you don't believe me, just look up Solving a War with Economics. And that's one of the best scenes there. And it has none of the main characters outside the guy with the big ears. And he just excellent. Let's see. Dustin D. Kara was the best thing for Star Wars. It was weak, poor choice to fire. Yeah, okay. Kara was the former MMA girl, I believe. Yeah, they were supposed to have a whole storyline with her, and it was going to work. And when she pissed off Disney, and rightfully so, they I don't know if rightfully they decided to write her out of the story, but all they did was shoehorn a wannabe Ahsoka in there and tried to put them in the same exact situation, which doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh my God, it doesn't work. And you destroyed one of the most beloved characters they had. Holy flying donkey shit. It just, oh, Disney can find the darkest part of my ass and kiss it repeatedly after doing that. They've only got one legacy character they haven't totally screwed over yet, and that's Rex. Don't worry, they'll try. Character lead idea, General Cute. The general's just cute, or the general's name cute? I'm not sure on that one. Dustin D says, what? Okay. Nadian Fosing Crystalline Starfleet Phaser. Oh, okay. Nadian Focusing Crystalline. Okay. Yeah. I didn't ever get too deep into that, so you kind of lost me. Star Trek Beyond used high-powered radio sound waves to defeat the swarm. Okay, sound waves do work in space. They work a whole lot better in an atmosphere. They don't have much to wave against in space. That's why. I mean, they only have the ether to play with, and that's not a whole lot. Now, yeah, I can't. I don't have much to say about that one. That was a writing choice, and I personally don't think a good one. They could have used tachyon waves, which would have worked perfectly. Quantum waves would have worked the best. But let's see. He also says, I would like Babylon 5 to do a better job at explaining their computer. Yeah, they don't ever complain but then again, the computer doesn't play a big role in theirs. Now, the thing is, they're also working with several different types of technology, because the station was completely human. We understand that. And then the main White Star was a totally different technology. And then you go on the planet that the station is orbiting, and it's got another set of technology. You'd be so lost. Should they've done something? Absolutely, Dustin. They should have actually had something in there. Dustin says, I always wonder why Babylon 5 Earth Force never used high energy based shield deflectors. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was a stylized choice. And since they were trying to actually get with hard science, nobody actually had energy shields. They didn't have disruptors. They didn't have anything like that. The most they had was the main reason why I say if a Babylon 5 ship went against toe-to-toe slugfest against a Star Trek ship, the Star Trek ship is fucked. Seriously screwed, because it doesn't have the range with its main phasers, and they could fire every single one of their funky torpedoes. Those interceptors that they fired are designed specifically to catch those, and they can fire almost indefinitely. Granted, it would only take one of those torpedoes to blow a Earth Force ship to tiny, tiny little pieces. But when you can knock out all of them, it doesn't freaking matter how many you throw. It's just, it is what it is. And I personally think that was a stylized choice on that one. They did have energy absorbing hulls later on. Once they started getting into the Excalibur type ships and stuff like that. The Shadows had absorbent shields. They just tanked everything. Well, it would build up eventually, but still. But yeah, that was they wanted to stick closer to hard science, because there is a way, if you know how to do it, you can actually deflect a energy laser, aside from particle, by the way. If it hits the side of like a tank, if it's wired right, it's just going to go around the hull like a Faraday cage. It's crazy. But you got to know what you're doing on that. Let's see. Dustin D also says, what do you think of the Babylon Earth Force Civil War arc? I think it had to be done. I think it might have been a little overdone, because you had so many. How do I put this? They were starting to step on their own dick on that one, just because they had so many people defecting that you wouldn't have that many ships left at the end when they had to do their sabotage on Mars. They just wouldn't have been as many. Would there been a few? Absolutely. You would have had some hardcore holdouts. And we know this because look what happened during World War II when those in Nazi Germany are like, this is bullshit. I'm going to go surrender over to the Americans and the French and the British. And you still had hardcore holdouts. Like, we're not going, this is us. This is all we're going to be. We're going to stay. And, it was just the way. Now, with the whole thing with the captain being caught, I thought was kind of silly. I know that was done just for drama. And honestly, it didn't work because you would never have the leader of your rebellion anywhere near where they can be caught. I mean, ever. It doesn't matter how much of a personal mission it is. It just is not going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. Because of that, they did come up with one of the best scenes ever when they were talking about how he needs to just do a public apology. And they asked him, do you think you can win? And he says, every time I say no. And I'm just like, as much as I don't like that actor, he nailed that fucking scene. So was the Earth Force Civil War good? It was good enough. They didn't get a lot of the nuances down. And you didn't have a full understanding exactly of how many ships were involved either. That's where they really screwed up. Because you can have 50 ships defect, but if you got 20,000 in the fleet, that's not a whole lot. So again, they could have done it better. Whoa, this thing just, oh wow, this thing freaking went nuts. Sorry, I'm trying to go through these. I don't want to skip them because, that's why we're here. Wow, you guys were going crazy in the chats here. I'm trying to adjust it. Let's see, there's Battle Jockey. Okay, Viper asks, have you considered making a standalone or series HFY series set in a time period that isn't modern or futuristic? As far as HFY goes, I didn't do that. I did a isekai story that brought things back to right between the medieval period, or I should say right after the medieval period. But that's as far as I got as far as HFY, because to do a go back in time, I can only think of one other story I did on that one. And that's actually that's very difficult to do. I'd have to brainstorm for probably a week to work out even half the details. Because I had one called Time Management Problem where they were going up in time and back in time and stuff like that. And it wasn't truly modern and it wasn't truly futuristic a lot of times because you're screwing with the time stream. And if you do that, weird stuff can happen. As my old professor would say, if you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. And I remember looking at him and go, man, this stuff is giving me a headache. He goes, yeah, that never really goes away. But could I do one that was in the past? Yeah, because the only other way to do something like that is if you're actually like somebody's marooned on a planet that's obviously not Earth, which has been done a lot. But then again, you'd still have some modern technology, some of it. Again, that's a tough one, Viper. I'll admit that is a very tough one. Let's see. Dustin the Typer today. Jen says, I like to see a little robots or robots and cyborgs. Yeah, I don't do a lot of those. I do have robots and things like ambush predators. The guy is both Vince and Larry are both actually cyborgs because they do have subdermal implants. But if you're thinking cyborgs like 1980s, big, bulky, weird stuff, that worked back in the day. It doesn't work now because everyone knows that technology is going to make all those parts smaller and smaller and smaller until you will have a replicant of an actual appendage. Can you make cyborgs? Absolutely. That's okay. I'm gonna put that down right next to where I wrote how I'm a dumbass for missing something. So robots and cyborgs. Okay. I'll look into that. Let's see. Dustin says Picard season 3 was a lot better, especially seeing the rebuilt Enterprise stick with star drive donated from USS. What is that? New York. Oh, it's not very. If it's from New York, it's gonna fail, man. It's gonna all and main deflector warp core and warp nacelle engines. Okay. I'm not really big on the actual supposed science of Trek. I do know a lot of it just doesn't fly, especially turning antimatter into matter that you can eat. If you tried to do that, it would explode. So, Ava says hypersonic ballista goes. Yeah, it would. Yeah, that was the name of the guy, Dustin from the Trek series, who did a really, at least his character's name. He did. God, he was just fun to watch. He was the Jakar from Babylon 5. If you like that character, you'd like the Garrick from Trek. That's who Trek designed his character after was Jakar, and they actually found a very good actor to do it. To this day, I have no idea what the hell the actors look like, but it is what it is. Let's see. Viper said to clarify, a story series set where humanity's current technology is late 19th to 20th century. You're looking at basically the newest War of the Worlds from the BBC. They actually did that, and they did it where there's no actual like energy shields, but they're still using the heat beams and all stuff like that. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I heard it was decent. Yeah, the you gotta now if you start messing with time travel, that's gonna get weird. If you did one where it already happened, it has to work with current events. You can't just suddenly change your own timeline on that. That's what makes changing the past difficult. If people understand that, well, most people understand time as linear. Time is not linear. It never truly has been. However, if I get into this, I'm going to be talking about stuff that you guys are going to be so freaking lost on because when I first heard about it, I was sitting there just dazed. So it's weird because if one type of time exists, they all pretty much do. That being said, it's just the way we perceive time itself. I mean, we perceive time as linear the same way we perceive things as in 3 dimensions, even though we physically see in 2. I can't see what's on the other side of this monitor. I can't see what's on the other side of this pad I got my notes on. I know what's under it. I know there's depth to it, but from what we see and what we perceive is 2 different things. So let's see. I'm going to keep going. War Sniper. They're hurting yourself by snapping your fingers because you have written too much. Yeah, and I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep writing till my wonderful digits break. Which honestly, in one case, when I started really scripting out heavy, glad you guys didn't see it because I actually stuck my hand right into a bowl of ice, and it sounded like somebody who had been holding in a fart for 3 days just let it go. Anybody who's had to hold it in the car until their date leaves knows exactly what I'm talking about, right, guys? You know exactly what I'm talking about. She leaves, and you're just, as soon as you leave the driveway, window on the other side goes down. I mean, seriously, it sounds like somebody's starting a chainsaw. And you're just saying, oh, thank God she left the car. I'm dying. Okay. George Orwell, he says he's late to the party. Hey, you still got to the party. That's all that matters. Ava says name is General Cute, but it isn't. Okay, that's like calling a big guy tiny. General Cute. I'm gonna write that down. General Cute reporting. Have something like an insectoid or something like that, with big old mandibles that go like this when he talks. Let's see. Star Wars Episode 8 was totally in a fire pit of disaster. Yeah, it was a burning dumpster fire, or it was just terrible. Most of them were. They just sucked. I mean, when you start killing off legacy characters, especially as pathetic as they were doing, I'm just sitting there like, what are you doing, you moron? If that was the case, they should have just off-screened him. Let's see. Ava says, just like your thought, aliens think it's just a cute thing till they meet. Okay, just like my thought, aliens think it's just a cute thing until okay, yeah. That's actually I don't know if you guys have actually listened to it. It was one of my earlier works. It was actually titled something along the lines of "They're so cute, everyone trusts them except one, us." And I actually got a picture from the well, it's everybody's probably seen it from the space shuttle. They got a teddy bear out on a stick and they took a picture of it with the earth in the background. It's like, yeah, they're so cute. Yeah, they may be cute. I still don't trust them around the machinery. Let's see. Demon says, I'm parked waiting to pick up a coworker. Just want to say Ava is able to gift you the Discord so you have full control over or something. Yep. Okay. That's Ava. When this is over, just put it in the comment section and I will definitely see it because I check my comments at least twice a day. I'm not very good. I don't remember to check my emails twice a day, but it is what it is. All right. Oh, on that same note, did I even put it on my notes? Apparently I didn't. The t-shirts, I'm going to check on them tomorrow. If you guys have any particular items you want on there, because my plan is just to have Galaxy's greatest ambush predator or something like that, and then having somebody in a ghillie suit, and then right where the eyelet is, you're gonna see it locked on a walking, talking cougar's tail, or just below it, and maybe a little thought bubble that goes boo, and something like that. I don't know. It hasn't come in yet, but if you guys have any ideas, anything particular you want on t-shirts, I will be getting a bunch and I will be giving them away as soon as they come in. And we got to get at least over 9,000 on the subscriptions before I do the giveaway. And you all know the importance of that number. So let's see. Demon says, I'm sure she will do a good job running it, but that's not. Yeah, I'm sure Ava will. Again, I didn't even think about getting a hold of you guys because I barely got this up and running because I just been busy as all hell. To actually do this, I actually called a bunch of people and told them, don't bother me. My phone's not even within arm's reach. It's all the way on the other side of the room. Let's see. Demon says, well, off I go again. Take care, all. See you, Demon. Wish I could have actually stayed on for the stream instead of popping on and off. Popping off. Yeesh. I will get the full listen once at work. Night, all. Yeah. And bye again. Let's see. Ava says, here's a shield you would like. It's called a vortex shield. I saw it on Titanfall after some science. Here's how it works using spatial curvature to redirect projectiles and using gravity time. Actually, that would gravity time. Oh boy, that's a lot of juice. That seriously, put that into an energy cannon. Holy shit. To actually adjust to have enough gravity to adjust time, you're looking at about a micro black hole type of energy. Now, spatial curvature, yes, that is a thing to actually warp space. That does happen. Is it going to collect them like you see in some of the things for Titanfall? No. Will it cause everything to redirect itself around? Yes, it will. The thing is, I'm not even sure how to get that operating. That is, I'd have to talk to an actual engineer to actually see if that would work the way I've originally heard of it. I've only heard of it slightly, and they say supposedly it does work. It's also good for altering space in front of you so you can launch ahead. That's the way I've always heard of it. It basically creates well, for lack of a better term, a wormhole, and just kind of yoinks you right through. Whoa, this thing jumped again. Sometimes I hate this thing. Let's see. Dilation to hold them. Oh, time dilation to hold them and then release. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to release them straightforward. You just collect them and they drop. Let's see. War Sniper said, Sin, yesterday, I hatched a dragon that I had a 5% change of getting in a ripoff Pokemon. As survival evolved. Okay, so you got a dragon that only has a 5% chance of you getting. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a huge Pokemon, folks, or else that one story I did for Pokemon wouldn't, have intercourse with a vacuum because apparently it fucking sucked. Yeah. My nephew is deep into Pokemon, and I know that finding one that's very rare is very important. So he trades a lot of them. He's trying to actually get some up. So when he's in high school, like early high school, once he graduates high school, he's going to sell a bunch of them so he can pay for whatever college he ends up going to. I swear he better get a friggin' decent degree or I'm going to friggin' kick his ass. All right. Dustin says, TOS ship phaser only had a range of about 150,000 kilometers, where the TNG ship phaser could shoot 300,000 kilometer range. As far as space goes, that's still not very far. However, it's still what, 120? No. God dang it. My brain's all, what's 120,000 miles? It's, again, you're talking about the range from here to Mars, but I mean, I guess that would work now that I think about it. The thing is, you got to remember a lot of these Star Trek ones, they literally just say it does something just so it fits the narrative. And honestly, I really can't follow that because they lose consistency. You lose consistency, you lose me as a reader, you lose me as part of the audience. I've been watching great series and they lose consistency and it's off. I mean, something as simple as someone was telling me, read this comic. I'm like, okay, this is really good. It's actually really deep story. And there was one character and she is just basically an ice queen. And some guy she doesn't know, she literally sees the guy. He's sitting there just holding a beer in his hand. And the very next panel, she's on top of him. I'm like, this is totally against the character. There was no buildup. There was no reason for her to do this. She just did. Why? Probably for shock value. And it just didn't work. So if they don't keep a consistency, then again, they lose me. That's one thing with Babylon 5 is they did keep consistency on what they could do. Let's see. George says, could a shield that shunts energy, kinetic rounds into different time or dimension work as a literary element? Oh boy, you're dealing with some pretty interesting physics there, but yeah, would that work? Yeah. It wouldn't be a shield as in full encompassing shield. No, it would be a shield that opened up in front of you and everything would just kind of go in and come out somewhere else. Yeah, that would work just fine. But you have to make sure they know that it does not encompass the entire ship and it has to be pretty far away. You're talking a couple of kilometers away. So in case there's any extra gravimetric pull or gravity pull or extra radiation or whatever, it doesn't screw up the ship or kill the crew. That would work just fine, as long as, again, in front, so that it, just like any other shield you wear, it actually hits that shield, but you're not covering the whole body. Works just fine, George. Absolutely works just fine. See, even Ava agrees. Let's see. Steam Boy. Ava says extra reality physics are. Oh yeah, yeah. They are. That's why they say there's a million ways to die in space, and they all suck. Let's see. Whoa, shit's jumping here. Let's see. Dustin says Clark's forces should have never tested fighting Babylon 5 because Babylon 5 only used defensive Pigarigi solution to take out at least one of Clark's ships. Yeah, that's why. Oh, by the way, on Babylon 5, when you actually hear him say time on target, that's an actual military term. That's so that all your rounds hit at the same time from all your guns. You have to stagger certain ones because they move faster. But yeah, that was an actual thing. Let's see. Jen says on the human side, and maybe high tech or the new type. Okay, okay. I might have missed what you were talking about on that one. You got a whole bunch of stuff on here there, Jan. I'll have to get back to you. Dustin says, why number Babylon 5 episode is severed dreams, particularly in Babylon 5. When the first battle against Clark forces and Ambassador Delenn prevented the second battle. Oh, that was probably their best line she ever had. You know, only one captain has ever survived battle with the Minbari fleet. He is behind me. You are in front of me. If you value your lives, be somewhere else. I mean, just the way that French chick could just, she hit that line perfect. The only part of that whole battle I didn't like was the idea of ramming ships. They showed how far apart, and then this, again, the consistency portion I'm talking about. We know how far the gate is from the station, and they were right next to the station. So for them to actually get that close with a damaged ship to crash into another one of these ships sideways, which means you have to go around or go next to them and then do a turn and then, power slide into it. That was the one part of the whole thing I didn't like. In all honesty, that ship should have, the one that was beat to hell with the Asian captain, it should have just gone adrift, and they should have been able to just rip parts to repair all the rest of it and just left the Hulk just out there. But hey, I didn't write it. Let's see. Dustin D says, I have a pet peeve about Trekkie Trek changing its timeline and moving the eugenics war from 96 to 2024 to 2023 or 34. Well, yeah, the eugenics war, I guess, was supposed to match up with Shaka Khan, whatever his name was there. And whatever. We're in 2024, so is the eugenics war going to kick off now? They might be doing that just because it's later on. I mean, when they first talked about the whole eugenics war thing, it was like the 1980s, and they probably didn't think, oh crap, what happens when we actually reach 1996? So I'm pretty sure that's part of what's going on, and then part of it's probably just them being lazy. Or Sniper, just keep writing. Okay, I will. Since when was Lando C was get? Well, no, he's literally, it doesn't even need a heartbeat. Just needs two legs and a butthole, and he's in it. That's apparently what they wanted to do, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, good God! It's no wonder as soon as he saw Leia, he's like, I'm a walking heart on. Hey, you look cool. Best Battlestar Galactica 2009. I'll have to take your word for it. I wasn't a huge fan. Which is my favorite? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. But, sci-fi HFY or fantasy HFY. I can't say I have a favorite genre. I have stories that I enjoyed creating. Ambush Predators was really fun. It got a little difficult towards the end there, but well, don't worry, it's going to keep going later, but not for a while. But yeah, some of the stories are just fun to write for me. The fantasy ones get interesting because you're working with magic as well as science, and when you do that, you're working with things that can actually warp reality. They don't make scientific sense, but they do work. When I believe it was Humans or Low Energy was that one, when they were invaded through a tiny little gateway, which is barely big enough for a Prius. Actually, come to think of it, it's actually smaller than that, which is why they couldn't just rush everybody in. Here's this horde of magic flinging goblins throwing more than poop at everybody, and you're just like, what the holy hell is going on? And then they're like, okay, this guy dropped his weapon. I'm going to use it to cast magic. Oh, wait, in my hand, it's just a stick. You gotta play with all that, and it can be really fun to do. That being said, I don't have a specific genre on that. The thing with sci-fi and fantasy is there's always one elephant in the room that everybody finds funny, and I get tired of writing about it, is the fact that most genetic codes are not going to mix. So if you find something, we'll just say visually appealing, and it's not quite human, well, nothing's going to happen if you and it do stuff. I'm trying to talk around the algorithm here, folks. Just, you know what I mean? Just like, Ambush Predators. Vince and Femcast were bumping uglies for years at that point by the time she was able to change herself. She did not have children until she was genetically altered to be more human. So, you got to play with that. Okay, let's see. Ava Clint, can't like the comments, but I've been working around the blocking algorithm, trying to get, okay. Yeah, the Discord. Okay. Dustin D, Solo was an okay movie other than making Lando C into a gay man. When is older Star Wars, he was a straight male and as straight as a board. Yeah, especially when looking at Leia, as he didn't even walk right. He was like, again, walking with a boner. Honestly, it wouldn't have mattered if Solo was. I didn't see it. I didn't hear good reviews personally. I was done with Star Wars after the whole Force Awakens debacle because I told everybody that movie was a bullet in the head, and nobody realized that Star Wars was dead until the freaking body hit the ground with Solo. Or maybe it wasn't Force Awakens. It was the one where Solo got freaking shanked. That was like the death blow for the series. It's done. The whole thing is toast. But yeah, this is what happens when you take somebody and they're an activist and not an actual worker. Anyways, let's see. Dustin D or Romulan quantum. Oh yeah, right. Singularity core. Yeah, that thing's gonna pump out more power than you're ever gonna need. But you're not hiding that under a stealth field, ever. I mean, they even talked about this in Trekkie Trek. The thing is pumping out literally as much power as a small star. You can't hide that. Everyone's going to know that you're around. If they can lock on you, maybe, but they would have to calibrate their sensors to find the strongest pulse of this thing, which is most likely coming out of a certain part of the ship. So chances are when they fire at you, they're going to put a torpedo up your bunghole. It's just like, It was just a bad idea. Whoa, okay. Again, this thing jumped. Explains. Okay, Dustin says, Syntax, in your universe. Oh, this one? How do your humans achieve FTL warp speeds? Well, they don't always warp. More often than not, they use a jump drive. Reason being is that leaving this sector, you got to get through the Org Cloud, and you got to get through the Kyber Belt, and you got to get through a whole bunch of shit. If you're going at that speed, you can't adjust your trajectory fast enough if something just jumps out in front of you, space-wise speaking. However, if you're jumping using a fold system where you're more or less teleporting from one area to another, that alleviates all that shit. The only issue is you may or may not have enough power when you finish jumping to actually get there. Let's see. War Sniper says, Sin, is it possible for a big space gun to shoot a torpedo projectile and then let it warp and then in another system warp out and then hit the starship? Hit Star Wars did that when the Galaxy gun and name. Oh yeah, could you use an actual jump engine to? Oh yeah, that's completely plausible. Your munition is going to be pretty large, but it's completely plausible. If you have a ship that can open up an actual gate, if that's what you're using, then all you have to do is instead of in front of the ship like so, you just turn it sideways, launch a torpedo straight through that sucker, and kerplowy, you hit whatever you're going to hit. Yeah, something to use in your store. Yeah, I try not to use that one because it's the math on that one will make my head hurt. Let's see. Ava says the scariest weapon I'm currently designing is called the gun. It invert a black hole into a white hole, directing all the energy into a holy flying monkey tards. It's targets 7 sectors in one shot, but ammo you need to find can't be made. Well, I would think not. Something to have to deal with that much pressure? Are you kidding? Just the power of wow. Okay, my brain just cracked. Okay, yeah, I know it's in 2 separate hemispheres, but wow, that's a lot of juice. That's seriously going from a black hole to basically a supernova. I mean, wow. Okay, whew. Dustin D, what would happen had Captain Sheridan would have activated offensive weapons against Clark forces? Probably would have ended that battle a whole lot faster. A lot faster. I think what he was trying to do was not shoot his own fighters, which, if you've been listening to me, you know my idea of fighters in space. It doesn't work. Drones are okay, but actual fighters in space is kind of ridiculous. Come on, says Ava. Doesn't he? I wish the Battlestar Galactica would have kept true uses of laser and laser blasters on their ships. Keeping to the source material, yeah. See, Bill says, what's your opinion on the Helldiver universe since the new game is coming out relatively soon? I have not looked it over. I don't have an opinion because I haven't looked it over. I'm going to actually write that down in my notes, Helldiver. I'm going to trailer. I'm going to look it up so I can go. Oh, Sofak said something's hot. Damn. Okay. Your message got retracted here above that, Sofak. So let's see. Okay, that was hot and wild. I don't know what you're talking about on that one. Sofak, so is there more news stories? Or are we going to finish an old one first? Okay. As of right now, I'm doing 1 or 2 more one-off stories unless they take off. Then I'm going back to If We Had Known, and I'm going to do part 4 and most likely more than that. Now, fair warning, around here is getting to be maple syrup season. Because of that, I might be able to sit down by the fire and script, but I'm not going to be recording a whole lot. So I may be missing a few days. So fair warning, everybody, on that. Maple syrup season only lasts like 2 or 3 weeks, depending on weather. Everything's weather dependent on that. So I'll do what I can to get you the material out. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's going to be one-offs for a little bit more. And then again, back to the series. I have a lot of people wanting me to expand to fish and killers. And yeah, I'm hoping I didn't write myself into a corner on that one. I'd love to actually finish the one. It's a trap. It's always a trap with the humans. What the fuck? That one was actually fun to write, but it didn't get views. So, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. It is what it is. So, let's see. Where is the Romulan ship's tailpipes? You still have to leak heat somehow. Okay, whether you're bleeding it out part of your hull or you're blowing it out through a vent, you have to bleed off heat. It's just a thing. Let's see. Every Starfleet rarely uses fighters even leading up to the Dominion War. Yeah, they only did it for the one battle there, the big fight on the way back, where you could, the entire Federation fleet got spanked. They got tore apart, except for one ship, because the only thing stronger than Beskar is plot armor, and they had a lot of it. So let's see. Ava says the role of fighters in space combat is a stealthy platform might carry a torpedo or two. They get off angles to land a hit or a distraction, but nothing beyond that to be best. Space fighters, actual fighters, as we understand it, space fighters would be beyond limited, because inside an asteroid field, maybe they would work. If you have a planet or a space station that's around some sort of ring like Saturn's, then yeah, they would do quite well. That being said, in most space, for any type of recon, you would use something like a Corvette, because you need something with a lot of juice and you need something that can get the hell out really quick. When they did the Expanse, the Corvette that's used there would be just about perfect. They did a very good job designing that. One main gun, a bunch of point defenses, and the rest is just a big ass engine. So let's see. War Sniper, if I mind me having your... Okay, I'm having trouble reading some of these. Fine by me having your... Oh, juice by the fire. Oh, okay. If I going by the fire is also important. Okay. I see what you're talking about. Okay. Dustin D says, what about a Syntech sci-fi story involving maple syrup? I was going to make that, actually. That's on the list. That's actually there. No, it's not going to be used for what you're thinking, you dirty mother. I know where your mind is, people, especially when we started doing things like the crewmate. That's why it's crew mate. Anyways. And yeah, if anybody actually caught, the sister's name is Jezebel. If you know what that means, yeah, you know where I'm going. Okay, Sylvic says, come to think about the weapon, is there any way you could use black matter? Ooh, like dark matter. Okay. It's possible. Now, I don't know much about that. I've heard about dark matter. Right now, most everything that I know is theory. And unfortunately, most of those theories don't coincide. They don't coalesce very well at all with each other. It's still one of those things people are screwing with. So, is it possible? Yeah. Would you be able to use it like a black hole? Possibly. But yeah, if you're using something like that, you have a good chance of making some sort of singularity type weapon, like a mine that you get the enemy fleet to go into, and then you like kablooey them, because nukes don't work for shit in space. So They work great for engines, but as far as an explosive, they suck. Okay, let's see. Now, somebody doesn't like their autocorrect. Let's see. Dustin D also says, sacrifice of angels where Starfleet was outnumbered 2-1. Oh, yeah, that was the battle. Sacrifice of angels. Yeah. They again, with the amount of fire they were, dive, dodging and ducking across, they should have caught a random whatever. And you saw other ships doing that. But if you notice how close they were, no one would ever actually do space combat that close. That's beyond nuts. Why? Because debris is going to be everywhere. Every time you saw one of those saucers hit and go wee off in the distance, guess what? It's going to hit something, and that something is going to hit something, which something else is going to hit something. Motion in or something in motion stays in motion as long as it doesn't have something to slow it down. And congratulations, there's not enough in space to slow it down. It's just going to basically crash its way across the Dominion lines, and or it's going to flip backwards. It's going to hit one of your own ships. It's a mess. I mean, the idea of them being that close, I mean, it looks good on screen. Don't get me wrong. It looked great on screen. It just doesn't pass the sniff test at all. Somebody went, smelled your finger. Yeah. Let's see. War Sniper say, can you maybe stealth bombers, they can near you decloak fire their torpedoes and cloak again before the enemy get a lock on them. Use for space battles in your stories. That was ambush predators. But instead of bombers, they used, well, I don't want to say capital ships because they weren't capital ships. They used their own ships, and they were point blank range when they decloaked and fired at the same time because it just draws too much power. Not to mention, as soon as you fire, somebody's going to lock in wherever direction that fired from. And if you had stealth enough to get that close, then instead of trying to blow the ship up, I would try to attach myself to the ship and then send an EMP pulse wave through it, screw up all their computer systems, and force them to abandon ship. Then you got a ship. And if they don't fully abandon the ship and they just leave a skeleton crew, that's when you cut your way through. You go in and you take all the guys out. You do what I was trained to do. And no, we didn't just point at somebody going, yang, like that. We actually did other stuff. Okay. Let's see. Ava says, space pool. You mean the asteroid belt ping pong? Yeah. That's messed up. Apparently, a lot of people think that was 2 extra planets we had that were actually in opposing orbits in the same spin, and something happened that one started going faster than the other or slower than the other, and eventually kablooey. And then just made the asteroid belt because they're still stuck in that loop. Let's see. Ava says, War Snipes, EVE Online, wormhole groups do that. Yep. That's what you're saying before. It is a choke point. Always hold the choke point, no matter what. If you hold the choke point and you know they got to come through, you just get there at an angle they're not going to see you at, and you get first round hit. And never, ever underestimate that. Ever. Let's see. Dustin D says, Galaxy Wing 91 to 93 taking puck shot on Taj Cassandra Galore, 4 main Galaxy phaser shot. The Cassandra ship was disabled or destroyed. Yeah? Okay. As you're still talking the Trek, I got you. Again, a lot of these are done based on the story. They're not as how do I put this? Story cohesive as we would like them to be. Let's see. Sofix says, can you combine a tank and a jet for a fighter in space? Yes and no. Could you actually put a big ass gun on some sort of fighter and actually use it to get closer and then basically volley fire into the enemy? Absolutely, you could. It's actually one of the best ways to use your drones in a swarm attack. You get just within effective range and you suddenly have them lock into a certain formation, which is usually a spindle or web formation. And then they all fire at once. And then you have this big wall of fire coming down. Could you put a big ass turret on there? Yes and no. Because what happens is if you're using real science, as your turret turns, guess what? Your fighter turns at the same time. So if you want to only turn 90 degrees, guess what? You just turned and you only just turned 45. Your whole you got to be very careful about mass in space. That's why I got on one guy's case. They had a good show. It's kind of gone to hell lately, but Space Doc did one, and they used to do thrust to weight ratio. And I'm like, it's thrust to mass ratio. And I put it in big, bold letters. It's thrust to mass. Get it right. But yeah, it's as far as hard science goes, that would not work. If you're looking at loosening up the physics a little bit, that would be scary. I mean, honestly, scary to have a big ass turret on his tiny little fighter. And then suddenly it's inside your formation where you're just going, oh, crap. Let's see. So, how about EMP? How it works in space? EMPs work in space pretty much exactly the same way they work here on the planet. The only difference is they're not using the ionosphere to actually boost the signal, but they work the exact same way. They just spike the amount of electrons going through whatever so that it runs too hot, too fast, and the circuits either pop or melt. And that's it. And the thing is, you don't have to be grounded in space for that to work. It just overloads the system and it just goes. That being said, most ships are pretty much flying Faraday cages anyway. So it's just going to wrap around the ship itself and eventually deplete itself, unless you get enough in there to actually cook everything. Let's see. War Sniper says, Ava, I did mean the Galante stealth bombers that also use AM torps to empty their capacitors. Okay. Ava says, two ways EMP work in space. Sofx channel EMP or O and Parka nuke channeled EMP use the superstructure of a ship to conduct a field. Yeah, you can actually focus one. 100% you can. That's why the EMPs to take down drones, that handheld, that's how they work. Okay, Ava and War Sniper going back each other. Let's see. War Sniper, the stealth bombers in EVE Online that Sin used those in the story with different types of torpedoes. Yeah. Now, if I'm actually trying to hit a capital ship, I wouldn't usually, unless I'm really close, I wouldn't bother with torpedoes, especially when I'm trying to actually tag someone. I want something that's going to reach out and touch them before they realize what the hell's going on. Torpedoes, because they're chemical propellant, move extremely slow, especially when you're talking about vast distances. If you're up close and personal, they work wonderfully because by the time their point defense system even activates, the torpedo is burying itself deep inside the ship, and you better stand back because it's going to make a big hole and most likely disable the ship. Let's see, Demon. Demon says, I just got to work, so I guess I managed to catch the end of the stream. Cool. Getting good at staying high and by today. Sorry for the constant popping in and out tonight, guys. Okay. Let's see. Yep. So he's back, but I don't know how much longer we're going to be on. We've been going for almost 2 hours and didn't expect everybody to be on this long, and I appreciate it, guys. Really do. It says bombs, snipes. Yeah, well, I'd rather use mines at that, honestly, because I'm at standoff distance and it does the job. and they don't know I'm there. Let's see. Dustin D says, why did the Defiant hang out with the cruiser more than the attack brought in to battle to retake DS9? I'm not sure which one you're talking about, Dustin. It's been so long since I watched it. I'm at a loss to even go into that one. Let's see. Sofek, I want to see or ask a see AK or Shorty in space. Which my Shorty, your Shorty? What? Let's see. Z Celeste. Playing along had the benefit that I'm here now. Yay! Question: humans in Warhammer 40K. Your thoughts about them? 40K is weird. Unfortunately, it started out as a decent premise, and then they just kept pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope to the point where I can't make heads or tails of it. Now, I'm not a big player of 40K at all. I did one 40K story, and it crashed and burned so damn hard, the pilot didn't even have a chance to eject. It was terrible. That being said, 40K, the humans in 40K, they're very over the top. And the whole religious aspect of it makes me wonder what the hell they're seriously smoking, or they spend too much time in the void. Maybe, I don't know. But the whole idea of somebody even questions the emperor's like, why is he doing this? Maybe you just give him an answer instead of, strapping him onto some sort of device that's going to cause him constant pain for the rest of forever, and then force him into combat anyway. It could be somebody just asking a random question. Now, 40K, when I started looking into it, one thing actually just annoyed the hell out of me is the fact that the humans supposedly only have so many of the Space Marine suits. I'm like, do you have any idea how many of those things are lost in one battle? You wouldn't have enough to, fill in a transport. It's crazy. And apparently somebody realized this, and suddenly we have the forges now. You're 40K lost its direction a long time ago. That's all I can really say. Let's see. Ava says bombs and eat basically a glide bomb with a rocket engine, syn and nuke target. Yeah, actually, most glide bombs do have a rocket style engine in the back. The whole idea of a glide bomb is it doesn't actually glide. I think it's the Elrazim, if I remember correctly. That's our glide bomb, and it is nasty. Oh, geez, that thing will snap a destroyer in half. Let's see, Dustin D, why is the best bird of prey class in Starfleet's Defiant class a heavy scout unofficial warship? Because they want everyone to think that they're peaceful people and they don't actually have any warships when every single one of their ships is covered with friggin' weapons. They're not fooling anybody. They just want to sit there and be, oh, look how wonderful we are. We're peacekeepers. Oh, you disagree with us? Shoot him. But we're so peaceful. Yeah, right. And it's just the whole idea that they're not a military is just ridiculous. And you can label a ship anything. I mean, right now, Japan's got a helicopter carrier that they call a light frigate. I mean, I'm like, yeah, you can call anything anything. I mean, does it make it that? No. All right. Let's see. War Sniper always got hit by a bully that decloaked fire their AMP bomb and cloak before I noticed, and that's not funny. Well, it's funny for the other guy, I'll tell you that much. He was laughing his ass off. I hit him. Not an AK-47 or Shorty, the short gun. Okay. Oh yeah, that goofy thing. I inspired one, I really, really, really didn't like it. Just my personal preference. I didn't like the shortened version of the AK. It's not like a Carbine M4. It just felt wrong. It just something was off, and we couldn't hit anything with them either. Let's see. Doesn't need the whole 40 thing. K is shoot first and don't ask questions. Okay. Ava says, sorry, that might have been me. I fly a purifier, but oh, geez. Oh, you guys are going to shoot at each other in the chats, aren't you? Oh, God. Duck. You know, they're going to duck around and find out. Okay, here we go. Okay. What do you think of the cyberpunk universe? I tried to get into cyberpunk. I'm not a cyberpunk, mainly because cyberpunk was designed in the 80s, back when I was a kid. And remember what I said about the bulky stuff that they wear? Everything's bulky, even though in reality everything's gonna shrink right up, and it's stuck. The cyberpunk universe never gets better. It's they're basically the Amish of the tech field. They stopped at a certain point. They didn't go any further. But what really blows my mind about what I saw there is that they will literally, if somebody like loses their arm for because of infection or something, they'll cut it off and literally just snap something on the bone and just it's supposed to work like a regular arm. No, it doesn't work that way. It blows my mind on that. I tried to. I honestly, I gave it the old college try because I was actually in college when I was introduced to it, and I just said no. Let's see. Ava says, walk confidently and calm, be helpful, and carry a big stick. Yep. Just hope you got a bigger stick than the next guy. Z says, for me, 40K represents the worst aspect of OG humanity and how bad things can get, how bad we can get. And I cannot see the overlap between in some HFY universes. The thing with that is most people that do HFY try to keep things as close to reality as possible. 40K honestly doesn't give a shit. They're trying to make something for a board game. They're not trying to make a cohesive storyline. They're trying to sell games. They're trying to sell parts for their little diorama game and everything like that. And I took a 40K guy and I played Battletech against him, and it took me a while to actually find pieces because I haven't played the actual sit down and play Battletech in a long time. And I went against him and his buddies, and they're like, oh, 3 against 1, this is going to be easy. And I decided to say, this ain't going to be. And I took the best mechs I could get. Now, granted, we could only have 1 assault, 2 heavies, and a light, or an assault, a heavy, a medium, and a light. And I was like, well, you guys mind if I upgrade to 1 more heavy? And they're like, we don't give a shit. And they cared a lot when that AC-20 went up their nose. But they're actually, no, not all of them. At least one of them is a Battletech fan now. Let's see. Demon says, I know you don't like the Stargate show, but I like a few space combat scenes. I actually really like most of the designs of the ships. Sorry, Demon, I can't agree with you on that for one simple reason. And if you watch Sacred Cow Shipyards, he did a whole thing on the 30. It's actually 30, by the way, 30 whatevers. And honestly, a lot of their designs don't pass the sniff test. It's supposed to be more hard science than weak science. And I'm looking at this like you would not design a spaceship the way you design a Earth-born destroyer. It doesn't work that way. You're wasting so much doing that. It doesn't. It just no. And what really got me about that is Stargate turned into Star Trek. As soon as you have teleportation beams, the big energy lasers that only move about the speed of a paintball, and energy shields that everyone's like, oh, we don't want to ruin our diorama, so we're just going to count off numbers. It's Trek. It's not anything else anymore. Now their space combats, one or two of them are actually really well done, but most of the ship designs don't, at least to me, don't fly. Oh geez. Okay, this thing's flipping like crazy. Do you know Evil Lady? I know a lot of Evil Ladies. I dated a few of them. Let's see. Sofex says, can you turn the big ass rail gun of an M14 or 50 BMG? That sounds good. Actually, you can. That's actually something that's, I hate to say it, but it's already been designed, already been built, just not in use. Main reason is they don't want to actually build the capacitors and the, not the capacitors. God dang it. I just used the wrong word. The actual correct power cell. Because if they use the right power cell for that to work, maybe not the 50, but for the M14, then we wouldn't have problems with electric cars. I'll tell you that much. They need sodium ion at the very least, using a graphene core. Let's see. Ava says, not on my radar. Might be small timer, but I'll see. Okay, yeah. Something. Let's see. Dustin says, what about the 40K video games? I am not a big gamer anymore. I've watched a few of their cinematics, which are, honestly, I love their cinematics. They're just fun to watch. But yeah, I haven't gotten into the video games. It just wasn't for me. It's just the way it is. See, Dustin D, did you like Armored Core? I did enjoy Armored Core. Not as much as my buddy who used to kick my ass all the time. I mean, he would literally stomp me so much it wasn't really all that fun. But whenever we actually did the co-op stuff, we would just destroy everybody, because he was more about just laying down all sorts of fire, and I would move around and do a precision hit on whatever was trying to flank him, and then he would just lay more fire down and bring all sorts of hell. Working together works really well. Let's see. Ava Clark says, spearhead ship shape prioritize firepower and stealth blocky for versatility and curved design for atmosphere and utility. Sort of. Now this is one of the things I have to say it. Star Wars got this right. The sloped armor, when you're actually designing your ships to actually drive at the enemy, is a very good idea, because it causes the rounds, everything to deflect off. Now, since they're using energy weapons, it's not that big of a deal, but sloped armor is, never underestimate that. Any type of way you can make it so it's a grazing hit, then yeah. Curved designs are actually a whole lot tougher than people realize. The only thing is they're easy. If you have something that's hits them directly, they pierce extremely easy, but they will take a hit. They will take a wide hit and just bounce it off like it's nothing. And another thing about the slope design is it allows your turrets to be superposed past each other, so you can fire more than one at the same time at the same target, and you don't have to worry about smacking each other. Oh, Z's out of here. Yeah, we're gonna be. I'm gonna go through the rest of these really quick, and then I'm gonna be done. Yeah. Oh, 2:25 a.m. Oh, good night, sniper. Oh yeah. Actually, believe it or not, Kobe, that's exactly what I used, was a hunchback, and I literally just ran straight up to him, and he's firing like crazy. He doesn't realize when you're sprinting, your evasion's so high, and I stopped and boom, point blanked him. He was so mad. I just blew his blackjack to pieces. It's like, oh, that thing looks so cool. You killed it. Yep. Let's see. Dustin Z, which is your favorite Alien / Blade Runner universe vehicle? Ooh, shit. That might have to come back to you on that one, Dustin. That's a hard one to do, because again, when you say vehicle, are we talking strictly on the ground? Are we talking air, atmosphere? Are we talking aerospace? Are we talking drop ship? Are we talking, anything beyond an actual ship that falls into? So that's a hard one to answer. See, Ava said hybrid power and railgun is a simple way to boost power per shot, but is bulky and very limited ammo. Yes, it is. Anything that has expendables on it is going to be limited on that. And that's the main problem I have, at least when I'm doing mine. Anytime I use a lot of tungsten telephone poles to launch at people, is those rounds better hit because you don't have a lot of them. So fake. No, my dream has been crashed. I don't know why your dream's been crashed. You wanted a 50 BMG that was electric or something? I'm good with it just being loud. I used to get behind the 50, and the chubby Sparky was right. You can feel that thing shaking the hate out of you. Adjust the T&E. I got it. You linked up the rounds? Yeah, keep linking them. Why? Because I'm not letting go. Hit that butterfly trigger and you just hold on. That thing just shakes the shit out of you in a fun way. Let's see. Demon says an old 360 game that I love was called Chrome Hounds. Oh yeah, I remember that. It was a slow-paced, heavy mech game with a lot of customization like Armored Core, which I love Armored Core games too. Finally beat all 6. Ooh, yeah, someone is dedicated. Chrome Hounds actually, yeah, that came originally. That was a PC game, and it had the largest control ever. It was just a big semicircle, and when you turn it on, it actually had this. You could watch all the lights as it went through its startup processes blinking. So you actually, as you're going, you act just like in a fighter. You can actually flick the switches real quick. Really expensive though. And that was actually at the same time BattleTech hit the shelves. I was kind of pissed. I was like, which one is which? Because I didn't know as a kid. Let's see. Dustin D says Star Wars also kept their computers fancy looking, but practical to use for every Star Wars. Well, if you count 6 buttons per console, practical. Yeah, why not? Let's see. Ava said, it looks like the stream's coming to its end. Good luck. Have fun. See ya. Yeah, the 0 and 7. Yes, I know that's a salute. And yes, when you salute, you put your fingers right here. Straight line tip. All right. Yeah, looks like everybody's signing off for the night. So I am going to do the same thing. Save debrief to everybody. Be careful outside because it is getting in that time of year where it gets warm during the day. So the water goes over the roads and then it gets cold at night. So be careful on the roads. I am specifically not going to the gym because honestly, I can't get out of my fucking driveway. It's too slick. It is what it is. So be careful out there. Also, remember, if your little soldier's going in the bush, make sure he wears a poncho. Make sure if you drive, you don't drink. If you drink, you don't drive. And if you're going to start doing the crack, you better call me and share, or I'm going to be pissed at you. All right. All right, everybody. This is going to be it. We've been on for 2 hours, and I appreciate y'all being with me tonight on Syntext Live.